Todd.
That's how
every American just walks down the street making those noises. You guys really nailed it.
Mate, I've been to Texas. I know what it's like there. That's exactly what it sounds like. Can't tell the difference between a cattle drive and just going to the shopping centres down that way. What's happening?
It's one and the same thing, trying to make your way through the shopping aisles down there. Some big rigs down Texas way, Todd Prod, I'll tell you.
It's very true. I'm the only American vegetarian. Everyone else just inhales ribs all day.
It's good.
Inhales ribs and eats snowflakes, apparently, in them southern states.
Truth.
What's happening, Smithy? What's
Yeah,
happening,
Todd?
Todd?
What's going on in the land of stars and bars, mate? Rumble at the ranch this weekend. Is it better to have competitive surfing in a pool or no competitive surfing at all?
I think that somebody once described the surf ranch as being like a Segway. Like it's fun to ride, but nobody wants to see you do it. And maybe that's a little bit harsh. Like just because I think that sometimes it can be entertaining when like someone's doing like a corrupt flip or when like Albie Layer's trying to do a double alley-oop. But I'd say that's definitely the exception and not the rule. But I don't know. I mean, like we've seen 2 of these events so far, or maybe how many is it? 3 now. But I think that like the one good thing from the ranch contest has been the like the leaderboard format. You know, where it's like everyone just is trying to get a high score, and the high scores are all ranked against each other rather than like head-to-head heats. Like that seems like a pretty cool idea, but I don't think they're even doing that in this contest. They're doing like a team format. So
yeah,
I think they may have killed the best part of that event.
Right. And you mentioned doing corrupt flips and big punts, and some of the stuff we've seen go down at Waco and these other wave pools has been fucked up, to put it mildly. But I mean, we're not really seeing that at Slater's pool. It doesn't really allow for those kinds of maneuvers, does it? It's I guess it's a problem of form. More than anything else, isn't it?
What about the number of waves? Do we know if you can crank a few more sets out in a shorter space of time? Would those little wedges start creating a few more opportunities for more exciting surfing? What's going on there with it? Because when we were there, Todd, you and I have been, Smithy hasn't. Just thought I'd remind everyone of that.
Just rub that in.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long wait between waves.
Yeah, that was a very long, stressful wait. I think that for the best surfers in the world, it's probably less stressful. Actually, maybe it's more stressful. I don't know, because it's like you just know that that's like literally like your only opportunity. But I mean, yeah, the wave is like, I think that for the average surfer who wants to go get barreled, that's like one of the sickest creations in like the history of the world. But I think that if you're trying to create a venue for good performance surfing, it's like Albie Layer, you know, like him and Josh Kerr went to the wave and they tried to like tweak it and create kind of more of a launch ramp. But I mean, there's a reason that we don't see the clips from the surf ranch that we see from Waco.
Well, I'm just looking at the attendees for the event. We've got the GOAT, of course, Kelly Slater, Carissa Moore, Philippe Toledo, Caroline Marks, Chloe Andino, Sage Erickson, Adriano de Souza, Connor Coffin, Coco Ho, Alyssa Spencer, Kira Pinkerton, Tatiana Weston Webb, and Seth Moniz. That's the complete lineup of talent.
I'm leaning towards any surfing's better than no surfing, Smithy. I'm like, when the footy wasn't on, I was like dead set, ready to just headbutt walls because I was just needing to see something, some form of combative, attitude.
Yeah, if you don't see, brain injuries happening.
I want to see people rip in and cut each other in half, Smithy.
That's right. If you don't see brain injuries happening, you got to inflict one on yourself.
So I don't know. I'm all for it. I mean, we've got to see something. Pro surfing has to give us something, right? I mean, there's the Australian Grand Slam has been announced that was hopefully going to give us some pro surfing down here in Australia. I think an event at South Stratty.
Yeah, I think it's at South Stratty.
And then one at Margaret's. But like the way the COVID thing's going down here at the moment, there's almost no chance that's going to happen.
Are we going back? Are we just going into some retrograde era of ACCC kind of regional contests? Is that the best that pro surfing can cough up at the moment?
I hope so, mate. Bring back Jai Gofton. Bring back the Majimba Flyer.
What do you think about the Majimba Flyer making a return to competitive surfing on our screens, Todd Prod?
ACC.
I just wish that, at least in America, I wish they had just done it at Lowers, Like Lowers is like fun like every day. It would be sick to see like all the surfers that you listed for the ranch contest. It would just be 10 times more fun to see them there. But I mean, it's funny because it's like the WSL is the only game in town, and the ranch is like what they can do right now. So, I mean, we're gonna watch it regardless, you know.
I mean, we've got no shortage of, fucked up waves of mortal consequence all over this continent, and the waves are pumping. It's been one of the great winters on record. I don't see any reason why we couldn't, start staging these kind of more regional style pay-per-view contests if it needs to be pay-per-view, which probably not in favour of because I'm pretty skint. But why not, take it to Nalu or Shark Island. Let's go back. Let's have another Shark Island challenge. Let's Voodoo or
these are the
box.
changes. These are the changes that have been put through already. So like we're going to have now with the WSL changes a 3-tiered system. So we've got a regional tour, and then that feeds into the Challenger Series, and then that feeds into the World Tour. So we are going to see a lot more regional events, and we're going to see a lot more homegrown heroes having a fucking crack smear, which I'm frothing about. Right. It's not just a pathway for the juniors. It's like for any great surfer to get on there. Who are you looking forward to seeing in those new regional tours, mate? Because there'd be a few names who aren't sort of, the up-and-coming Groms who would love a shot at some of these bigger names and possibly a start on the Challenger Series.
Geez, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the people who I honestly don't follow like the minor league competitive surfing very closely. Like basically, unless you're like knocking at the door of the World Tour, like I'm not really paying attention.
What about Joe Primo? How's he looking? Is he still good? Yes.
He's got a shot.
The Gork on there, for sure. Couple of Gorkin flips.
Love him.
Couple of Gator Bugs, couple of Gorkin flips. Be great.
Yeah, love it.
I mean, it would be good to have some more face tattoos on tour. That's for sure.
Sorely missed, isn't it, Todd Prod?
And what about neck beards? What about neck beards? Is Shane Beshan a chance to get back on, the regional tour, hit the Challenger Series, and maybe take on his old foe, the GOAT, in another rematch at Huntington Beach? Can I ask you, were you at the beach that day? Were you at the beach that day where Kelly started the final by snaking Beshan, East versus West Coast? East Coaster does the big snake right in the first minutes of the final, and it's all over?
No. Vaughan, Todd was the guy who flashed the crowd who kicked the ride off.
Getting the titties out on your toddy. Do you remember that
Definitely,
day, that final?
That was me. I'm sorry, I didn't actually hear. Are you talking about Huntington?
Yeah. I think there was a pretty famous final right at the height of the Beshan-Slater rivalry, which only lasted a year or two. But there was a.
I would have been like 3 years old.
Oh God, am I that old?
You know what I love just as much as watching pro surfers battle it out in waves of mortal consequence. That's seeing them grovel and paddle all over each other in 1 foot slop. Just seeing veins pulsing in their forehead and the cortisol levels going through the roof. I could easily watch that. I know it's the summer over there in America at the moment. So, just send them out into dribble and watch them sweat and stress and fret. It's great viewing.
And a call out to any HB Swellians or Californian Swellians who were at the beach. Send us a voice message on the Insta DM about your memories of that epic final where Slater did the dog act and just ruined the final for everyone who was frothing for the Cali kid. Send it to us. We'll run it. What else going on over there, mate?
There's just something in the water in Huntington. I mean, it wasn't just that one year. Like, there was riots again, and I want to say it was like the early 2010s, like 2011 or 2012. And I was there at that one, and I remember it was so crazy because people were like throwing bricks and like through storefront windows and tearing out stop signs, and everyone was like Instagramming each other doing it. Because this was before people knew like what the hell social media was, and so everyone's just putting like this stuff out there, and of course like they got arrested for it.
Is that because Brett Simpson he got robbed in a heat, and the whole place just lit up and went mad, and then he won the next two in a row?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Or were they just so pent up over watching people grovel 1 foot waves, they just had to let it all out?
There are no fans that are more passionate than Brett Simpson's fans. So
it's true. They're famous. There are, I've run into a couple of packs of them, marauding packs of Brett Simpo fans.
Brett Simpson's the American head coach now, right? For the Olympics, if that ever happens.
He is, yeah, for the Olympics.
It basically goes, Millwall United fans, Leeds United fans, Aston Villa fans, Brett Simpson fans. They're that fucking psycho.
He was the bad boy of the World Tour.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
There'll
All right.
never be another
Well,
one.
what else have we got happening over there, mate? What's news from the surfer office?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, man. It's like it's kind of hard to even talk about pro surfing right now with everything that's going on. Like, because whatever you've heard about America right now, I promise you, it's much worse. So
Well, it looks pretty fucked up from where I'm sitting. So, jeez Louise.
Terrifying.
yeah, we've got federal goons like kidnapping people in Portland. They're shooting rubber bullets at moms. Trump is talking about postponing the election. Basically, what I'm getting at is, like, I'm in the market for an Australian visa. So if you guys know anybody at the consulate office,
funnily
that can make
enough,
that happen,
mate,
that'd be
Smithy was just
super dope.
saying that he hasn't had a girlfriend the entire COVID period, and he's looking for a partner. So maybe you two could hook up and get that green card happening.
Yeah, that's right. Love is love, Todd.
Let's get that green card, man.
Yeah, man. I love your work.
make it
Are we
happen.
actually putting a shout
Maybe
out?
that's enough.
Are we putting a shout out right now, Smithy, to any Swelliettes out there, or,
Yeah,
or
fucking hope.
Swellians
Smithy's
who
looking
want
for a bit of the old in, out, in, out. So,
we're serious. Hit us on the DM.
the Rona season has been brutal.
Swipe
for
right.
The dating,
Swipe
for the dating
right on
scene.
Smithy. Swipe right on Gath.
See this? You see this? Swipe right.
Classic. So hard to keep your mind on surfing, mate. But has there been any developments over there that Australians, the greatest sporting nation on earth? Is there anything we need to know?
I'll just do some shameless plugging. How about that? I'm going to plug.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you guys have seen our Quiver series. You don't have to have seen it to know exactly what it is, because every Quiver piece has been the same since the beginning of time. So it's funny because, like, I don't think there's anything like original about doing Quivers pieces, but I just love them so much because, like, I think that, like, as surfers, we just, like, obsess over what everyone rides, especially if, like, someone's into, like, some weird stuff where they have a trippy style. And so the most recent one that will be out by the time this pod comes out is with Dane Gadauskas, who's definitely one of America's most beloved free surfers. And he's got such a rad quiver. He breaks down his boards kind of in terms of, like, how they generate speed, which is a pretty interesting way to do it, I think. So he starts with this, like, super slow total tanker of a single fin hull that I think he like found it in a landfill or something. And then he ends up talking about a couple different boards and, like, ending with this, like, totally flat 4-foot asymmetrical board from Donald Brink, who's, like, just a really amazing shaper. If you guys aren't familiar with his work, he's a South African dude who lives in San Clemente and just makes the trippiest, coolest boards that actually work really well.
What about?
But it just looks like this, like, lunch tray from outer space, which is pretty sick. So.
Was there any
we're stoked on
big
that.
Cloudbreak or Mavs Rhino chasers in there? Because he's a closet psycho, Dane Goodang. He was one of the standouts on that 2012 Swell at Cloudbreak. He's underrated.
Yeah, it's super underrated. He doesn't break down any of those boards in the video. I think he's, like, kind of sticking to the stuff that he's been, like, riding this summer. So it's kind of like more like a typical California quiver. But I've been into his garage before and seen, like, the, like, 9.2s and, like, the giant Rhino chasers. And, like, yeah, it's funny because he's such, like, this goofball dude. But if you put him in a heavy situation, like, he's just going to absolutely send it. Which is really cool. I mean, there's not really that many American surfers who are, like, that capable in big waves and small, you know?
It's such a crazy thing, too, to stand next to one of those 9.2s and you look at a board like that and you're like, the scale of it's all out of whack. You're like, what kind of a wave would you ever ride this on? And that's when you start really tripping out. But tell me, is Dane Goodang really that happy, or is it just shtick for the camera? I mean, surely he schwitzes at the call operator after spending 45 minutes on hold to Verizon or whoever it is, you know? Is he really that happy? Really
Yeah,
that
I think it's so funny. I think he probably gets asked that question, like, in some form, like, every day. But he's just, honestly, he's like a double rainbow, you know? He's just like a bright beam of sunshine.
Oh, come on. You're telling me he's never abused a barista after a bad brew? He's never faded a teenage girl at Lower Trestles before? Come on. I
think he tips 25% on every cup of coffee. I think he's a stellar dude.
All right.
I don't think you're going to find any cracks in that.
Not going to find any dirt.
Well, I mean,
the Gold Cone Piece award winner always finds some dirt.
Pat and Tanner are no different, right? You meet those guys and it's just fucking shiny pearly whites as far as the eye can see. It's
It makes a lot of sense if like you meet their parents. Like their dad Tom is just like a super legend too, and I think that like that's like partially genetic or something.
Is it genetic? Or is it some of that orange sunshine acid they've been scoffing? Is that part of this equation?
That sounds like sounds believable.
And how are their
always
positive
helps.
vibes going in the current climate? I mean, they must have the fucking blinds drawn. It's a nightmare in that joint, isn't it? I mean, keeping an upbeat, manner about you during this tough time in America. They must be tapping into some Wim Hof. It's tough going over there. What is going on over there? Give us the latest, Todd Prod.
I mean, yeah, like I kind of mentioned it before, but the president is just continuing to be totally insane, and I think that the federal troops are being pulled out of Portland, which is a good thing. But I mean, the protests are still going strong. As is to be expected, like given everything that's happened and continues to happen over here. And then obviously COVID is just totally insane. Like the numbers here are worse than they've ever been. Like the one pro to this is that I don't think that we'll ever go back to an office, which is pretty okay by me. But it's just the weirdest possible times.
Yeah. I mean, what to make of it all? It's just one of the grandest schmozzles ever. I mean, Jeff Bezos made $17 billion the other day.
Yep.
Not chump change, Vaughan. Single day's labour. I don't think he packed a single box, did he, Bezos?
No.
Not one. Unbelievable. But yet you've got
Strange times.
skyrocketing unemployment and people coughing up lungs, coughing out lungs. But the good eggs are still keeping a positive frame of mind, and that's what's important. I think we could all do with taking a leaf out of their book.
I'll have what they're having.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, a leaf soaked in orange sunshine acid sounds great.
Excellent.
Anything else, Todd Prod?
Yeah, there's one other thing that I was going to mention, which is we've got this piece this series that we're starting next week, which is called "Whose Coast Are You Surfing?" and it's a written series about kind of the indigenous histories of different surf zones in America. It's crazy. Like as a kid growing up in San Diego, like I don't remember any teachers talking about like the Kumeyaay Native Americans who lived along the coast here before the Spanish arrived. But, with the recent Supreme Court case that named half of Oklahoma as tribal land, it got us really like thinking about indigenous histories in America, and kind of like how much we like a lot of us don't know about those histories. And so for the first piece, I'm talking to this guy Ethan Benegas, who's the Kumeyaay tribe historian, about their history along the San Diego coast and some of the original like place names of our favorite surf spots today. And it feels like really important to be talking about Kumeyaay history and indigenous rights right now, because the Trump administration is trying to build his border wall, and it goes straight through Kumeyaay ancestral land. And so there have been all these activists here in San Diego who have been going to the build sites. They're like holding prayer ceremonies and, getting sprayed with water for blocking the heavy equipment for coming in. And these people, they're supposed to be consulted about the site before construction started. But the Army Corps of Engineers apparently just said that for national security reasons, they didn't have to do that this time, which is like totally fucked.
That's a bloody outrage.
So anyway, by the time this podcast comes out, the first part of this series should be live on surfer.com. And there'll be links and stuff. So if anyone wants to like learn more about what's happening, or maybe like donate to the Kumeyaay groups who are like resisting that would be huge. So you should check that out.
Yeah, fucking oath. I can actually tell you a bit about the indigenous history along Australian coastlines if you want to Google up the bloody history of Australian waves by the two-time Gold Cone Peace Award winner himself. And basically it involved inbred convicts and aristocratic pommies throwing First Nation people off cliffs, poisoning their water holes, burying women and children up to their necks and kicking their fucking heads off. So yeah, that's how it went down in Australia, and we still haven't come to terms with that as a nation. We just tell them to get over it. Forget about it. It's all in the past, but yet we've never acknowledged it, Vaughan. It's
And
a
mate,
disgrace,
we
mate.
live in like the most beautiful surf-rich coast. I mean, especially after the last few months, just paying like a little bit, just taking a little bit of time out, you know, especially up here. We got Bunjalung people, Gumbanga people from around the Coffs region, then Dungutty as you go further down. And all of these areas have just been so incredibly pumping. And yet, how many of us have stopped and actually just given a little bit of a moment's thanks to the original custodians of the land who enjoyed it for 60,000 years, probably more, before we came along.
Getting coned out of their dials, microdosing DMT and acacia. They were killing it. Kidding me?
Yeah.
Such legends.
It's a good thing, mate. It's a wonderful story. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
In Australia, you guys, there's been like a lot of progress there in terms of like reverting to indigenous place names and stuff like that. Like, aren't there like cities and towns that have been like renamed?
Like the Bunjalung rest stop on the highway.
Yeah.
Nah, not really.
Oh, really?
Rastovich was actually pushing hard. He started getting on board with a campaign that was really looking at doing that, especially around surf spots.
In fact, we actually have something that I'm going to quickly flash up on the screen now. This is a new initiative. We're very proud here at Ain't That Swell to get behind Culture Up, Signs of Respect. Now, basically, this is, if you... We'll flash the link up on the screen, but what it is a website where you can print out different signs which relate to the indigenous land that you're on, and you can put them out the front of your house. So, you know, a big part of the problem in Australia is that there's a very awkward divide between white and black in this country, where people, you know, they might mean well, but they just use the wrong words and the wrong language and don't really know how to show solidarity. So this is basically designed to get around that. You know, do you know that less than 1 in 5 Australians know the name of First Nations land their home is on? These are some of the stats from Culture Up. But yeah, it's a great idea. So basically, any punter can go on this website, print out a sign, and just stick a stake in the ground on their front lawn and acknowledge the land that they're on.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Which is what it's all about. I mean, isn't it? It's acknowledging.
It's not just acknowledging.
Call the fucking spade a spade.
It's like it's making a tiny little bit of effort that will actually educate every single person who walks past that land. It's like it's a tiny step, but it's an important step because every bit of information then feeds into a bigger and greater understanding.
Yeah, and just to be real, like, this country is a debacle in its relationship with Indigenous people. There's, I think we're debating at the moment, the lawmakers in the country are debating whether to continue locking up 10-year-old Aboriginal kids. Like, that's the minimum age that you can be sent to prison, and I think it's something like 70% of all juvenile detention kids are Aboriginal, and 10 is actually too young to join Facebook, but it's old enough to get locked up in this country. So, and then if you go up into the adult prison system, again, it's like, you know, 27% of the total prison population is Aboriginal, but they make up only 2% of the population. So, I mean, it's just, it's the prison industrial complex that we've inherited from America at play here. And in fact, we have per capita more prisoners in private prisons than in America. So, you know, America brought that system here, and we've gobbled it up like the cocksucking, pathetic, dismal, micro-capitalist fuckwits that we are.
Sycophantic fucking...
America just has a lot of really great exports,
jelly
doesn't it?
bodies we've become.
America! Australia!
On that note, seems like a perfect outro right there.
Love you, Todd. Love you. And good to see you, mate. And we actually do wish all our very best to, you know, all our friends over there in the States. I know, like you said, Smithy, it's not like anyone wants to be in this situation. The shits that's going down. It's been a long time coming, but, you know, we just send all our well wishes to the surfers.
Well, good luck to you guys over there too.
Solidarity, oneness, and fucking stick it to the man.
Backing it.
See you, brother.
Cool. See you guys.